Good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021. It's 2 p.m. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board. To my left is Vice Chair Commissioner Gary Edwards. We have County Manager Mira Chavez and the Clerk of the Board, Amy Davis. Calling this meeting to order. And Brian, are the mics where you want them to be? Sounds a little hot. Okay. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Vice Chair Edwards.
And I have, in turn, asked Greg to lead us in the pledge. Just giving my fellow seatmate an opportunity to get there.
Please join me.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'd also like to start today with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge the Salish peoples that have stewarded this land since time immemorial and who still reside in this region today, specifically the Chehalis, Nisqually, and Squaxin Island tribes, our sovereign tribal partners. With that, I would contemplate a motion regarding the agenda for today's meeting.
Yes, sir. I would move to approve the Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021 agenda.
I second. My microphone is not working.
Been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia? Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye. Motion carries. Agenda is approved. Is there a motion regarding board meeting minutes from our June 15th meeting?
Yes, sir. I'd move to approve the board meeting minutes from June 15th, 2021.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye. Motion carries. Board meeting minutes from June 15th, 2021 approved unanimously. Now is a chance for the public to address the board. The Board of County Commissioners welcomes comments from the public at all Tuesday afternoon meetings. However, there are some guidelines governing such comments to ensure they are appropriate and do not take advantage of the fact that most meetings are televised. Please introduce yourself when called, including the area of the county in which you reside. Please address the board, not audience or staff. Silence your cell phones. The board does not respond directly to public comment. On an as-needed basis, the county manager will follow up on specific items. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board and may not donate any part of their time to another speaker. The board reserves a right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the meeting for good cause. No comments that are lewd and offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in nature, please be respectful. No outbursts of any kind, comments that are commercial in nature, such as promotion of a for-profit business, or remarks about land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before the board on appeal. All materials provided to the county may be considered public record and subject to public release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 4256 of RCW. So with that, I will read 2 names at a time, the person who's up and the person who's on deck, and then I've got 5 names, and then if there's anyone else, we'll do a final call. But it starts with Johanna, followed by Linda Remmers.
Johanna, East Olympia. First, I would like to address you as one of your Ag Advisory Committee members, the Vice Chair, and that we did forward a recommendation to you as a committee last week in regards to the applicants for the farmer member position. It's my understanding there was also a minority letter forwarded to you. Upon my reading of the minority letter, it left a lot of questions in my mind. One thing I wanted to clarify is that there was a very clear yes vote and a very clear no vote in a majority of the committee recommended to you, Mr. Shorno. And now as an individual, again, as individual farmer from East Olympia. This morning I heard you talk about the upcoming COVID money and that you had, the staff had recommended about 2.1 million of that go to ag in this county. I applaud the staff for that recommendation. The first round of COVID money, you budgeted $750,000 for. I will tell you, because you were questioning who was getting those, I am one of the recipients of one of those $10,000 grants, and I appreciated it, and it kept my business afloat during the 2020 year. Of course, I didn't get it till December, but 2020. And some of the things that covered, loss of revenue due to the substantial changes we experienced. I personally raise beef. Loss of markets, loss of supply chain, and that continued loss of supply chain, and our prices, our cost of doing business going up substantially across the board. One example is a 2x4 that was $350 a year ago is now $750. Another example is the price of our grains. Organic soybean was $700 a ton last year. It's $1,500 a ton now, and that's ordering bulk, 30 tons at a time. $10,000 for small operators kept us afloat. Big operations, you're not even scratching the surface of the losses that they had last year. An example there in the beef sector, in 2020, our processing dates to call for a butcher to process an animal's, we were booking 10 to 12 months out to be able to get an animal in. And that went from a 2 to 3 month overnight to a 10 to 12 month. I just called today. We're 8 months out to be able to book an animal to be processed. Last year, that meant substantial additional costs in feeding that animal out. As you probably saw in many reports in the Midwest, they were just killing those animals, not bringing them into the market. Another example is Christmas trees this last year. How many Christmas tree lots were shut down entirely because of trying to comply with the COVID restrictions? Agritourism, basically a total shutdown. You got 2.1 million. Commissioner Mintzer, you want to move money away from that to fund micro shelters. How about funding something that's going to create jobs in this county? One of the things the Ag Advisory Committee has been talking about, trying to formulate a recommendation to you, is a USDA processing facility. The Tenino Business Park identified that in its formulative stages as the #1 priority identified by agriculture in this county. The committee is working on a proposal and a recommendation to you that will cost less than that to put in an entire processing facility in. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Linda Remmers, followed by Larry Remmers.
I have some photographs here that I'm not sure the other commissioners other than you.
Ma'am, I'll take him.
County manager will take
take
it,
him.
and then she can, yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Haven't done in this for a long time. I want to thank everybody for all the time that you've put in on this problem. I know you've put in a great deal of time. We watched the YouTube this morning, and we were mightily impressed by all the time and effort that you've put in. However, there's always a however. Larry and I, we bought our property 21 years ago, and we bought the original 12 acres that Mima Culvert is on in order, because we loved it, thought it was beautiful, etc. When the 52.5 acres came up next door, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Came up next door, we bought that in order to protect it, to protect the environment. We didn't want to see it developed. We wanted the environment to be protected. So we find ourselves in kind of an uncomfortable position right now, which the universe works in mysterious ways. However, the fish passage, we are totally for. And we were until there were disagreements is what the county proposed and what actually happened, but I'm sure you're aware of that. And so it isn't that we're anti-fish passage, we want them in. It's not that we're anti-guardrail. We understand that the guardrail has to go into certain parts of the area. But one of the things that I wanted to ask, well, two actually, no one has ever approached us about possible renegotiation. There are some things that maybe we'd be willing to do if it could modify the guardrail. But no one's come, and said, and in truth, we were quite unhappy when the county presented one thing and then took it back. But we would be willing to look at that. So maybe there could be some negotiation that way. And the other thing we didn't understand this morning was how was the bridge and the culvert that is specifically tailored for this project purchased before the project was approved? And then that approval was used to say, well, we need to go forward because we have this bridge and culvert. I'm totally baffled by that. And it just feels like Larry and I have been pushed along and pushed along. Most of our property will be behind guardrails. It's the way it is. But we were just wondering, and there was another thing. When they said they couldn't go into the wetlands, which we do not want the wetlands damaged in any way, it's why we bought it to protect it. But they wanted to buy, the county works, wanted to buy a strip of property from us along in the wetlands where they were going to put the fill in and make it a more gentle slope so it would be better recovery. I'm thinking that 4-to-1 ratio. So that's confusing as well. And I just hope that you understand that we want the fish passageways in, but we may be old, but we're not stupid. And we've been treated in a very offhanded way in some ways, but I also want to say that the staff that we have dealt with Public Works, have been absolutely wonderful. I mean, they've been attentive, they've listened, and tried to explain to us. So I'm just here with one last plea that, maybe if this would have been worked out prior to buying the bridge, prior to buying the culvert, this could have been worked out in a more amicable way. We could have given sold some of the property, and I think everybody would have been a lot happier. So I appreciate, and I have one other question. As far as the shoulders, do you know, are they going to asphalt those shoulders, or are they going to put it in grass, the way the rest of the shoulders are on the road? Because we at least want this to look as natural as possible.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Got Larry Remmers next, followed by Gregory Moe.
I'm the follow-up to my wife, who did a marvelous job here. Two things I'd like to stress. One is,
Larry, could you just lay your name out for the record?
oh, I'm sorry. My name is Larry Remmers, live in Gate Road, South County.
Thank you.
One of the major issues that I saw in this whole debacle was that the amount of guardrails allocated to the project has gone from an original 300 feet for the whole project up to 1,155 feet for the project, and now down to 800 feet for the project. If the standards of engineering are such that they should be recognizable from any professional engineering guidebook or standard for individuals, then how is it that we have three different numbers all addressing the same project that have been shown for the Gate Road Fish Passage? The other thing I would like to stress is the risk factor. The risk of someone going off the road with an automobile and not being able to recover is one set of risks for the county. But there's also the other risk of an automobile that can't get off the road or that veers over the middle median and does head-on work, either hitting bicyclists or pedestrians. That's a major risk to the county as well. It's the balancing of this that needs to be taken care of. In balancing it, I'm sure, and I would hope, that the county can find a set of professional engineers that can minimize the amount of guardrail that's going into this stuff. We're the ones that have to live behind the guardrail. Thank you.
Thank you. Gregory Moe, followed by John Pettit.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Gregory Moe, live in Northeast Thurston County. Your weekly real estate update. Currently, well, you'll know that we have an extreme shortage. Currently, there are 236, this was as of 1 o'clock this afternoon, 236 active listings, including condominiums, residential, single family, in all of Thurston County. 893 pending sales in all of Thurston County. 45 of those pendings are in the past 24 hours. This is the lowest I've seen, lowest or active listings and the highest I've seen in 23 years as a realtor at Windermere Real Estate. Latest MLS data show the median home price, this is for the month of May, is now $499,900. I got that today off the multiple listing service. The average price for May, $614,000. A lot of factors contribute to the cost of a home, besides the recent run-up in lumber prices, which is adding an additional $25,000 to $35,000 to the cost of a new home. And other supply-side dynamics, there are three things that can be done to increase the supply of attainable housing in Thurston County. One, increase the amount of buildable land. Increase the inventory by reducing onerous land use regulations. Number two, reduce the cost and number of government permits. For example, multiple building permits for a same house style in a subdivision or a same style home by the same builder in another subdivision. And three, reduce the time and cost involved in the permitting and approval process for projects in neighborhoods. Remember, time is money. Builders have carrying costs during the current lengthy permit application approval process. They have building material costs, interest on the loans, infrastructure installation costs. The list goes on. And guess what? These costs get passed on to the home buyer. On my way into work this morning, I heard on the radio, national news, that pending sales, the past 4 months' sales of existing homes declined for the fourth straight month. It's not because there aren't homes for sale. It's because the amount of homes for sale has declined considerably. It's an inventory issue, and that's nationwide. I found the same thing when I was traveling the past couple of weeks in Pennsylvania, New York. They're having the same issues with shortages of inventory, average market times a week or so, and multiple offers over list price. You all know how to reach me. Thank you very much.
Mr. Pettit, and Dilworth, potentially, it'll be a add-on. Okay, so you'll be after John.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Pettit. I live out off Rich Road, and someday I hope to see you all come out and enjoy the river there. I am addressing a particular element. I'm thinking that I want to help inform the Commissioners. I realize we're going to be having a hearing related to an amendment or a minor amendment or whatever you choose to want to call it, because there is no such thing as a minor amendment, and it's been advertised as such. What I have written you recently, and I have real concerns about certain amount of data and everything that's been being processed in this presentation. And while I'll be addressing later on that I will be moving action should the commission decide to move forward, that I will be filing some action with Growth Management Board and everything. What I did want to address was major concern about how staff is choosing to make presentations. Now, I had mailed you, and I'm sure you have these documents I mailed you, just getting kind of to it. I showed here what the actual amount of available revenue that would be generated by REIT would be, in which you can see at the very maximum number, it would be $42,055,000 over the next 6 years. That's the maximum. But an amazing thing happened when I took a look and see the financial tables regarding the minor amendment, whatever. The concept of buying property and leasing a site raised, you'll see on the next page, table 1.1, under existing revenues, it raised the real estate excise tax revenue over the next 6 years. Now, I don't know how you ever started out with the 63 million plus that was being foretold as being the correct amount of income, because it would never get that high. That was a wrong forecast. But it increased $13 million because you want to spend $13 million. And the reason why that happens is under the capital improvement program, you have to account your funding source for the expenditure within the 6-year time frame, or items cannot go on the agenda. So we have bogus the figures, the financial figures in this process in order to accommodate trying to put these items on. Somebody needs to be accountable for putting false information in front of you that you're just trying to make decisions. So I'm going to skip forward a little bit, knowing that we have this potential $76 million from REIT funds coming in. Isn't it odd that next week you want to get a loan to put into the REIT account so you can spend $5.6 million? If you don't have enough money to fund the actions now, how are you going to get it later? It's not real. The numbers are bogus. Now, just letting you know, on the next sheet, you're going to see where it says Growth Management Hearing Board case schedules. As I proceed forward in taking action against the county on this, should you go forward, it's going to take a minimum of 6 months of time frame to deal with that. And I have up to 60 days to file for that. I made a recommendation that basically I'm giving you what your choices are to look forward to on the next page. The amendment, I call it amendment, I don't call it minor. That'll get into the next discussion. But A is you can choose to approach it, and it's going to take 6 to 9 months at least to get it cleared. Or 2, you can turn down the pretend amendment, what was never docketed, and you can actually put it on the schedule for the next processing of the capital facilities plan and this appendix, which happens annually, and you'd have it done in December rather than in February or March of next year at the earliest. So I encourage you to make good decisions. What will be prudent for the county to move forward? Thank you.
Ms. Dilworth, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Shelley Dilworth. I live out off of Delphi. I have been in here several times to speak with you, and first I'd like to say thank you for always hearing us at these meetings, always giving us this opportunity, and thank you to my fellow community members who are now starting to show up more, who are videoing, who are actually getting involved in the things that are going on. First thing I want to bring up is the Webster's definition of harassment. And that is to create an unpleasant or hostile situation. When we began our process over 5 years ago, we were harassed by staff here in this office, not once, but over a series of years. That individual is no longer here. So now what do we need to do? We need to take the proper steps to ensure that everybody else that was involved in those processes also understands that that was not the correct things to do. As you've heard today from other people who have testified, I will again testify. I came into this office not once, not twice, but a ton of times to discuss these issues, to discuss these problems, to bring them up to every single person that would listen. And I was turned away every single time. Had one person stopped and took action when I asked that action be taken, that individual wouldn't have caused the continued damage that he did in our community. And it still lasts out there now because those wrongs have not been made right. We need to stop and look at this. We need to encourage our representatives to not harass, not belittle, not go out and have a civil conversation with people in our community who care about the community on what's going to happen and what this planning office or anybody that's a part of Thurston County as a representative plans on doing to other people's property. That's where they don't understand. This is not their property. They don't have to suffer the repercussions of what they are imposing on everybody else in this community. We do. So stop, take the time, and listen. I would ask that you all do that. And as they have mentioned, and I'm sure others have mentioned, people are always willing to sit down at that table and discuss options. But when you give them no options, there's no options that they're willing to discuss. So open your minds as our leaders and be more willing to sit down at that table and ask, how do we rectify this situation? Guarantee you 100% of the time you will find a solution if you try. Thank you for your time today. Have a great day.
Anyone else that has not yet signed up? Nope. Okay.
Do we have somebody in Zoom?
Yeah, Josh Stottlemyre.
Let me check the Zoom. Do I have Josh Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
please go ahead. You have 4 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Josh Stottlemyre, Chaucer Lane, Olympia, unincorporated, Thurston County. I represent a citizen group called Thurston County Citizens for a Sensible Wireless Code. We represent citizens from all over Thurston County with diverse social, political, and economic backgrounds. Tomorrow, staff will ask you to make a decision about whether to form a citizen advisory committee to assist with the wireless code rewrite. After hearing several weeks of comments detailing serious issues with the draft code and 67 written comments, the majority asking for more public input, and hearing a rebuttal to the citizens' concerns from your wireless consultant, the Planning Commission unanimously agreed to a citizen advisory committee is needed to address significant issues in the draft code. According to staff, wireless companies who have a clear profit motive have had direct input into the draft code. Citizens should also have direct input. The issues are too complex for hearings alone to be adequate. The goal of the code rewrite was to bring the code into compliance with the FCC and give permit staff clear guidance. Unfortunately, the draft code does neither well and requires extensive work before coming to the BoCC. A properly written code can facilitate the needed wireless coverage, protect property values and citizen health, and comply with the FCC. These things are not mutually exclusive and are easily obtainable in the code with the help of a citizen advisory board. Citizens, including myself, have spent hundreds of hours reviewing the draft code, FCC rules, federal law, case law, and consulted expert legal advice. We are well versed in the issues and what's needed for legal compliance with the FCC and federal law. The county wireless consultant will likely suggest, as he did to the Planning Commission, that any issues or holes in the draft code can be addressed in licensing agreements with the wireless providers. Licensing agreements are not subject to public review and therefore are not a good vehicle for accountability. The staff briefing will reference the cost of a citizen committee as a con. What about the cost to draft and negotiate the licensing agreements with each wireless company, which you'll no doubt need to bring back your consultant to negotiate? Why not write a code that works in the first place and save much more significant costs of multiple license agreements, which may not address public concerns? The staff will also state that they do not have the bandwidth to conduct an advisory board. If they do not have the time to address the code issues with the help of citizens, how will they do it without them? The county consultants stated publicly that there is considerable gray area in compliance with federal law and that he represents just one interpretation. Other legal interpretations need to be represented and considered, especially those that maintain local control and protect citizens and property values. As it is now, the draft code complies with the FCC rules that wireless companies want and ignores the rest. Unfortunately, 4 minutes doesn't allow me the time to get into specific issues with the code, which range from basic setback and placement rules that are completely missing to the lack of compliance with FCC safety and environmental rules, which is not an option. I've previously emailed each of you these details, and hopefully you've had the chance to review them. Thurston County is going to be inundated with lawsuits from citizens, homeowners associations, if you do not respect people's yards and homes with significant setbacks and notice to people in range. Do the required testing and ensure compliance with FCC required environmental assessments and SEPA. Lawsuits from citizens come with real damage awards. Lawsuits from wireless companies only come with an order of compliance. No monetary damages are granted there. Let your citizens have a true voice. Approve the Citizen Advisory Committee and avoid the issues before they happen. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, sir. Do I have anybody else on the Zoom who would like to provide public testimony? No.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 2 on today's agenda is the county manager's update.
I just have one follow-up, commissioners, and this related to the public testimony you received from Mr. Pettit last week. Similar to the comment that he provided today related to the docketing process. This particular items that he highlighted last week, that was one of the topics that you discussed with your attorneys during an executive session last week, which I was not part of that. And so I will not be able to respond directly as to what the gist of the conversation was. However, I have asked staff this afternoon to outline the process of the docketing process as part of the staff's report on the public hearing related to this item. That's all I have for you.
Okay. Let's go to the consent items 3A through 3C. Is there a motion regarding the consent items?
Yes, I would move to approve consent items A through C.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. Consent agenda approved unanimously. Department items 4A, Community Planning and Economic Development, is Voluntary Stewardship Program Contract Renewal.
Christina.
Good afternoon. I'm Christina Chapeau. I'm the Senior Planner with Community Planning and Economic Development Department, here to provide a short background on this item. The county implements a voluntary stewardship program for landowners implementing agricultural activities. The VSP is an alternative approach to the state's Growth Management Act requirements, and the program uses a watershed incentive-based process to protect our critical areas and promote viable agriculture. The implementation is funded through a contract with the Washington State Conservation Commission, or the SCC, and the county has been partnering with the SCC on this contract since 2014. The current VSP 2019-2021 biennium contract expires at the end of this month, June 30th of 2021, and a new VSP funding and a new contract with the SCC will be provided from July 1st of 2021 through June 30th of 2023. The contract total for this is $235,000. The action requested today would approve the contract and delegate authority to execute the contract to the Community Planning and Economic Development Director for efficiency and implementation, as the CPED administers the VSP program and contracts with local partners for implementation activities. And the work is consistent with the Thurston County Strategic Initiatives 7 and 14. And I'm here for any questions.
Commissioner Mejia.
No questions. Thank you.
No questions.
Chris, so we're receiving money or we're paying money out?
We are receiving money. We're receiving $235,000, up to $235,000.
Okay, very good. No further questions. Is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I would move to approve a biennium contract number K2224 with the Washington State Conservation Commission in the amount of $235,000 for the Voluntary Stewardship Program for the term of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023, and authorize the Community Planning and Economic Development Director to execute the contract and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
Motion has been moved, seconded. Any further discussion from the board?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Chris. Item 4B this afternoon is interagency agreement between Washington State University Extension and Thurston County. This is a community planning and economic development item as well. And I see Stephen Bramwell. Josh Cummings also listed here. Do we go straight to Steve Romero?
I believe Stephen Bramwell is going to be presenting this item.
Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. It's really good to be here. Thank you, everybody. This is Stephen Bramwell. I'm the Washington State University Thurston County Extension Director and Agriculture faculty. And as you know, the topic today is the renewal of the Memorandum of Agreement between Washington State University Extension and Thurston County. So we just want to give you a brief overview of the process and the relationship. We have an extension program in all 39 counties, and a little bit different from county to county, but in Thurston County, that supports 5 programs: nutrition education through SNAP Ed, 4-H youth leadership and development, Master Gardener, Master Recycler program focused on gardening, composting, and waste reduction. We have a water resources program as well, does a lot of work in green stormwater infrastructure, and then the agriculture program, which is what I lead. I could talk all day about this, but as you know, I gave you a briefing and presented an impact report of the activities of WSU Extension in the last year. Just want to remind you of that. I can always send out more, and anybody in the community that's interested, the program develops an annual impact report, and it outlines in a really specific way all the programs that we've operated and impact we've had in the past year. Just since it's a topic of consideration, I'll just mention that WSU Extension was involved in the development, administration, and evaluation of COVID-19 agricultural business recovery grants this last year, and was instrumental in getting over $600,000 out the door to agricultural businesses within a 6-week time frame this last year. So the extension program impacts a lot of other citizens, not just agriculture, but I just wanted to bring that up since we've been involved in that type of work recently. So as you know, you have before you the interagency agreement between WSU and Thurston County. It's a longstanding relationship. Funding for extension comes locally from the counties, from the state, and as well as from the federal government through the Farm Bill. And, you know, in very brief, just before wrapping up, this past year provided 200 workshops to citizens of Thurston County. We managed about 700 volunteers who gave 13,000 hours in volunteer service to the county. And we brought in about $262,000 in grant dollars in addition to the state, local, and federal dollars. So we also do a lot of funding through grant acquisition and further leverage the investment the county makes. So it's always, I have such pride in Thurston County and in the extension program and what we do to work for the citizens of Thurston County. And I'd be real happy to answer any other questions if you have them regarding the memorandum of agreement.
Questions for Steve?
I have no questions at this time. Thank you.
I don't have questions either because we've discussed this quite a bit. So.
Yep, this has proven to be a very valuable agreement for the county for all the reasons you outlined, Steve. Thank you for that summary, and I'd contemplate a motion.
I would move to approve the interagency agreement between Thurston County and Washington State University Extension for a total of $166,306 for January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021, and authorize the chair of the Board of County Commissioners to sign the agreement.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much for your time.
We're going to go to item 5. There's one item there, 5A, from the coroner, request for proposals for x-ray equipment.
I will give the floor to Gary Warnock, our Thurston County coroner. Gary, like to present the item?
Yep, sorry about that. I couldn't get my mute off.
No problem. We hear you loud and clear.
Go ahead, Gary.
There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we have put in an RFP for an x-ray machine that we would utilize on all gunshot cases, all infant cases, fire deaths, and cases where the body has been decomposed. X-rays will identify projectiles or other instruments that are in the body, and it will help us identify the remains as well. The X-ray machine will also allow rural counties to utilize our office as a hub.
Okay. Any questions for the coroner? Commissioner Mejia?
No, I believe he answered my questions a while back, so I have no questions at this time.
Gary, I guess I would ask you, in the end, this purchase, if we make it, will actually start to produce revenue sometime down the road and prevent you from having to have so much capital outlay going out of county to have this done now, or to other entities to have it done now. Is that right?
Yeah, because currently we take all of any cases that need to be x-rayed, we take to St. Peter's Hospital, and that's a professional service fee that we're charged. And that doesn't speak for the time loss of employees' hours out of office, which is a minimum of 2+ hours per case that we transport to St. Peter's and back. And then also, like Commissioner Edwards said, it would be a revenue source for the other counties, because right now Grace Harbor takes all of their cases to King County. Clallam County takes their cases to Snohomish or King County as well. And then Pacific County, right now they're utilizing Cowlitz County. And so they have all shown an interest to use Thurston County as a facility for their services.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I would move to authorize the Thurston County coroner to issue the request for proposals for an on-site x-ray equipment.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Item 6A today is Public Health and Social Services, DSHS Work First Children with Special Needs Program Agreement. Gretchen Toller, I see in the upper left. Go ahead, Gretchen.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to come. My name is Gretchen Toller. I'm the Maternal Child Health Manager at Thurston County Public Health and Social Services. I am here seeking approval of our Department of Social and Health Services Work First Children with Special Health Care Needs Contract Amendment. This is for the period of July 1st of 2021 through June 30th of 2023 and allows for the maximum amount of $48,150. This funds assessments by our Children with Special Health Care Needs nurse to determine a parent's ability to participate in the Work First program, and is for children under 18 or over 21 if they are enrolled in special education. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
No questions.
No, sir. We've discussed it.
I don't have any questions either, Gretchen. This is a continuation of our practice, and I am ready to hear a motion.
Yes, sir. I would move to approve the Department of Social and Health Services County Work First Children with Special Needs Program Agreement number 2163-19714 for a total of $48,150 for the term of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the agreement and any future amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Hearing none, call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gretchen. 6B sticks with Public Health and Social Services, specifically a contract with City of Lacey for Hicks Lake water quality monitoring. And we've got Art Starry in the upper left box. Go ahead, Art.
Good afternoon. I'm Art Starry, as you said, with Thurston County Public Health and Social Services. I'm the Environmental Health Director, and we're here today to ask you to approve an agreement between our department and the City of Lacey so we can continue to conduct water quality monitoring on Hicks Lake. Hicks Lake is within the City of Lacey, and they have an interest in making sure that we can track water quality over time in a way that we're doing similar for a variety of county lakes. And so this would continue an agreement that we've had in place actually for about 6 years now, would continue it through 2013 and allow us to recover our costs for the cost of doing the monitoring and conducting, taking water samples for analysis, as well as the machinery costs and things that we have. And so we have the expertise. We are doing this throughout other areas of the county. And so the city wants to take advantage of that opportunity for our expertise and allow us to do the monitoring for the lake and, again, reimburse our costs. So I'm asking you to approve this. The amount is for $11,533 for 2 years.
Commissioner Mejia, question?
No, sir.
Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir.
Out of curiosity, Art, how has the water quality been on Hicks Lake over the last years? Does it have similar issues that we've had in our county lakes, or?
We do see some things that has, it's kind of the, I guess the question that always comes up is as lakes get older and people develop around it, we can see some water quality issues. It's generally the water quality is pretty good, but we do see some episodes with it. I'd be happy to give you more details. I don't have all the reports in front of me right now, though.
Okay, fair enough. I'll follow up with you at a later time. Okay, is there a motion on this particular contract?
Yes, I would move to approve a contract to perform governmental activities with the City of Lacey for water quality monitoring on Hicks Lake for a total of $11,533 for the term of May 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2023.
Second.
That's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I just want a clarification on that. I thought it was a one-year contract.
This goes through March 31st of 2023.
It does. So it's a 2-year contract?
Yes.
And the dollar amount is right, sir?
That's correct. Yeah, it's not that expensive a project for us. And so that does cover 2 years.
Okay.
Okay. Then call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Art. We've got now a couple of public works items. 7A is a contract award for the Gate Road Culvert Replacements Project, CP number 63015.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Ryan Blazer, Civil Engineer with Public Works. On June 10th, 2021, a total of 4 bids were received to construct the Gate Road Culvert Replacements Project. Bids were received in response to advertisements in the Olympian and the Daily Journal of Commerce and posted on the Builders Exchange of Washington website. The low responsive bid was received from Quigg Brothers of Aberdeen, Washington, with a bid of $1,236,149. As you're well aware of this project, we will replace 3 total fish barrier culverts as a part of the program. The Baker Creek crossing will replace 2 30-inch culverts with a 28-foot prefabricated bridge, and the Myman Creek tributary crossing will replace 1 18-inch culvert with an 8-foot precast concrete box culvert. Once the new structures are installed, fish will have access to almost 2.5 miles of stream for fish habitat within the Capitol Forest area. This project is in the 2021 Public Works budget, the 2021 to 2026 Capital Improvement Plan and Transportation Improvement Program, and is in alignment with the county's strategic plan, Initiative 8, to support robust and well-maintained infrastructure systems for a thriving community, and Initiative 9 to support environmental health and climate stabilization. I open it now to any questions you may have.
Commissioner Edwards has his hand up. Go ahead.
Greg, Ryan, I'm hoping that you heard questions asked of us earlier today, and if you did not, I can repeat those questions. There was 2 of them, one about the length and one about purchasing the bridge. What kind of authority did we have and stuff on that? Could you delve into that a little bit?
Commissioner Edwards, this is Teresa Parsons with Engineering Services. I'd like to address the issue about pre-ordering the structures. Because this project has been on the Transportation Improvement Plan and on the Capital Facilities Plan, it had already been vetted and approved for the construction program through the board and through all of the other channels and been adopted. So because of that and because of the tight timeframes dealing with fish passage, we have taken to purchasing the structures ahead of time, but it was an already acknowledged project. And so that's why we did that. Okay. I hope that addresses that. The question on length, maybe Ryan could address that, and maybe if you wouldn't mind repeating that question specifically.
Okay, I think the question was, how did, we've had some adjustment on the length of the guardrail, and we're basing the length of the guardrail on an absolute need due to traffic safety by standards from the Traffic Safety Commission, I guess, or that superior body when it comes to safety. So if that's the case, if it's kind of in concrete, how did it fluctuate between 1,100 to 800? There seemed to be some compromise, even though, so maybe it isn't set in concrete. I guess I'll put it that way.
Yep, thank you. Thank you for your question, Commissioner. So in response to that, so previously earlier this morning, when I gave the estimate of 300 feet, that was a quick estimate based on the quantifiable amount of guardrail that's installed. And that estimate...
Not 300, 800.
Sorry, excuse me, 800 feet. It fluctuated again, I apologize. So 800 feet based on the engineer's estimate, which quantifies the pay items from WSDOT, how those are quantified with WSDOT. With that... excuse me, 800 feet was quantified in the engineer's estimate, and that does not include transitions or end sections that are placed at the end to transition away from the road or from other sections of guardrail as needed and as determined by the structures that we place. And so the 800-foot estimate was merely an estimate. I haven't done a detailed count. However, I do know that the plans as they currently stand are accurate, and those plans are what the amount of guardrail that will go in the ground that were bid from. Does that answer the question that was put forward, Commissioner?
I think so. Just a discrepancy. Would you also tell us about the fish window that we're working with as far as a time element here? Aren't we kind of under some restriction with Fish and Wildlife about when we can do this project and when not?
Yes, that's a great question. Thank you for that question. The fish window, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it's July 15th or 16th to September 15th or 16th. I confuse those 2 dates, but it's about 2 months, the middle of July to the middle of September. And that window is determined by Fish and Wildlife with our permitting process, and it is factored on the type of fish that are found in the particular stream, and can fluctuate depending on the stream or river that you're looking at. And that's our fish window for these two sites.
And that fish window, if you will, is for in-water work.
Correct.
So because, yeah, so that you could pave outside of that or do some other cleanup work beyond that. So that isn't going to be the exact window of construction, but all in-water work has to be done within that window.
And are we going to have shoulders along this new construction area?
Yes. So as was mentioned this morning, this project, not being a roadway project, we're not doing extensive roadway improvements. It's more for the fish habitat and the crossing improvement. But we are within the project limits, widening the road. It's currently an 11-foot lane, so 2-lane road, 11 feet each, about 22 feet wide on the existing road. And what we are doing is maintaining that 11-foot lane width, plus a 3-foot paved shoulder outside of the outside painted lane line. So a 3-foot paved shoulder outside of each lane in most areas within the project limits.
In the end, would you say that we're going to be just a little bit safer than we are today by the time we get this done?
I would say so. Within the project limits, we definitely, while we put fish first on this type of project, we try to make it as safe as we can for the traveling public as well, based on current guidelines and recommendations from state and federal agencies.
Okay. I think I'm going to let it go with that. One more thing.
Sure.
If we delayed this, that cuts into the fish window. Is that right? What happens
yes.
if we delay this?
If you delay it this year, yes, we are getting very tight for having the contractor able to do the work that's needed in water within the project limits. If they don't get started soon, and I mean like really soon, we will not be able to do the work this year.
Okay, you got me boxed in. I'll leave it up to Ty.
Commissioner Mejia, anything?
No, I think Commissioner Edwards has asked the questions I had.
Yeah, he covered a lot. I wanted to, that particular first question you asked about the bridge before the project was approved, and I just wanted to emphasize, I think you hit it, Teresa, but just from my perspective, each of these projects has many decision points along the way, and we've got, we could have a dozen of them going at once, so it's kind of confusing because it seems like the same project keeps coming back to the board, but it's just different pieces along a track. And one of those pieces is, when it's added into the project list, and then I remember being requested to go forward with the bridge pieces because it was a project that had come up for funding. So there are many points at which the project can be diverted, but at the same point, the board was aware of projects as they come down that pipeline, and there's approval points. So that's kind of why it seems confusing when you come in at a certain point. There's usually been few decisions that preceded that. I'm not going to say more about this because I know the citizens involved watched our very extended discussion this morning, and I've had meetings with them individually. Very difficult question here, but ultimately it's going to be a good project for fish, and we're going to do it in the safest way possible, and that's all I have to say about that. So is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I would move to award the contract for the Gate Road Culvert Replacements Project to Quigg Brothers Incorporated of Aberdeen, Washington, in the amount of $1,236,149, and to authorize the Director of Public Works to execute the contract and any change orders for this project due to unforeseen conditions only, not for changes in scope, for up to 10% of the contract.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I'm glad all the legislative decisions that we make here aren't in this county.
Yeah. Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners, very much. And County Manager, I know this was not an easy process for anybody, so greatly appreciate your time and consideration.
Okay, item 7B, Public Works, setting a public hearing for compression brake restrictions.
Hi, thanks, commissioners. This is Becky Kahn, civil engineer in the Traffic Department of Public Works. I'm here today to request the board set a public hearing to consider amending county code to prohibit the use of compression brakes on the following roadway sections. Churchill Road Southeast between 1,400 feet south of State Route 507 and the dead end, and Little Rock Road Southwest between Albany Road Southwest and Sargent Road Southwest. Compression brakes, which are often referred to as Jake brakes, are a braking mechanism installed on some diesel engines. These brakes supplement the primary braking system and are often used during periods of extended braking to avoid overheating. The use of compression brakes is often very loud and obnoxious, and because of this, they are most often an issue in residential areas. The proposed restrictions that we're bringing forward today were brought to the attention of Public Works by citizens who are concerned about the amount and frequency of noise truck compression brakes were making in their residential areas. Staff has reviewed these requests and determined that compression brakes are not necessary on these roadways for trucks, or these sections of roadways for trucks to safely stop. And with that, I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have.
No questions for me.
No controversies? No questions?
Well, not yet.
Yeah, we'll see. I have questions about this, but I'm interested in hearing public comment about it on the 20th of July. So with that, is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I would move to set a public hearing for July 20th, 2021 at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at the Thurston County Courthouse, Building 1, Room 280, for a proposed ordinance amending Thurston County Code Section 12.32.197 to add additional road segments of Little Rock Road Southwest and Churchill Road Southeast, where the use of compression brakes are prohibited.
Can you restate the code section, Commissioner, please?
Did I miss part of that code?
I think you stated at 32 instead of 37.
Okay, well, I'll restate that. I'll just go do the whole thing again and make sure we get it right. How's that? I'll move to set a public hearing for July 20th, 2021 at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at the Thurston County Courthouse, Building 1, Room 280, for a proposed ordinance amending Thurston County Code Section 12.37.197 to add additional road segments of Little Rock Road Southwest and Churchill Road Southeast where the use of compression brakes are prohibited, period.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye, motion carries. Next, under County Manager, item 8A, commissioners can report on board work sessions, community events, assigned committee meetings, or anything else really that they'd like to report on. Commissioner Mejia, go ahead.
Do we have time?
We do have time. I mean, we'll get to the public hearings.
Okay, I attended yesterday the Thurston Thrives Coordinating Council meeting, as well as the Women's Club of Olympia reopening. And that was a nice in-person event. I also attended the WASAC virtual meeting, and that was good timing, I guess. I had met with Representative Dolan Bateman and Senator Sam Hunt about the Blake decision money and what we were going to do and what the delay was. And at the WASAC meeting yesterday, it was discussed that basically the holdup is with the Administrative Office of the Courts. They have written a letter, which I will be forwarding to our representatives from District 22nd, 35, and 2nd, as well as I have already a meeting scheduled with Representative Dolan and Representative Jamila Taylor, in which the county manager will be attending with me to discuss kind of a planning on how we're going to even move forward with what the guardrails that the Administrative Office of the Courts is currently setting for us. This weekend, I attended the Strawberry Festival, which was a very nice event, and I attended that with my daughter. And then in the afternoon, I attended in Tumwater at the community center a Juneteenth event. On Friday, I went to Tenino and I attended the study event where I was joined by my other two seatmates. Last week, I did an intercity transit meeting and as well as attended a Chambers event. Of course, this does not include all of the other meetings and dealing with constituent phone calls and emails. But other than that, that's all I have to report on.
Edwards.
I'm going to forego committee reports because I don't have anything that is of exceptional value there. I am going to comment on some of my community meetings that are of great concern. And one of those issues was on the daycare ordinance that we have that I understand the county manager is going to be coming to a conclusion and give us some feedback on that, I believe tomorrow, if I've got that right. But that concern was that we have made every effort, we thought, through the county to change the regulatory process to make it easier for workers with children to have daycare closer to their residences so that they could continue to work and have good daycare. And that seems to be in question, but more to come on that. And then the other issue is on the public hearing that we're having today, which is a budget amendment. And the folks that I'm talking to are very, very concerned that we would expand our square footage at this current point in time. And I'm going to use as an for workers, because in Pierce County, I've talked to those folks and they tell me 1/3 of their employees that can work from home intend to work from home and do not intend to come back. 1/3 want to come back and 1/3 do not know what they want to do. So I think it is premature for the county to try to move ahead at any point in time in the immediate future, expanding the square footage as to the need that we may or may not have. We had a study some time back said we needed more square footage. I agree that at that time that was true. Today, I'm not sure we need that square footage. So that is what's been consuming a lot of my time, trying to come up with a solution there. I can tell you that Pierce County is downsizing on all their lease material and reviewing all of their leases to downsize their square footage. So I'll just let my report stand. Thank you.
Thank you. A busy week for me. I attended the State Behavioral Health Conference, which, given my role on the governing board of the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization, was able to attend most of the sessions of that. Friday was the study meeting. As Commissioner Mejia pointed out, it was the most attended study meeting that I've seen in my 4 years, 3.5 years attending study meetings. Standing room only, people out in the hallway. I couldn't type fast enough of all the events that South County communities are planning for the summer. So if you shouldn't be bored this summer in Thurston County. Yelm, Rainier, Tenino, Rochester, they've got multiple things going on, often conflicting on the same weekend. One of those things was Swede Day in Rochester, which I attended the parade and the event at Swede Hall, and that was great to see everybody out for that. Also had time to squeeze in the Juneteenth event at Heritage Park, which was actually organized by the North Thurston School District. I stood with them in the height of the pandemic last Juneteenth, which was really cool, near River Ridge High School. This year they moved the event downtown to Heritage Park, and there was a good turnout for that, for the portion I was able to attend before I had to shoot down and get to Rochester. Took a tour of the micro shelters that have replaced the tents at the mitigation site and went to the port warehouse where those micro shelters were constructed. And that was very illuminating. As I mentioned this morning, the project went from rubber-made shed walls to basically what's akin to tiny homes, and was all done by leveraging additional money. Providence contributed, and we appreciate that, and Olympia increased their investment in this project. So the original investment of the county really resulted in something which is a major upgrade from what was there before. Was asked to give a speech yesterday to the Olympia Kiwanis Club on the county's racism declarations, resolutions from earlier this year. And I've never spoken on racism before, so I put a lot of time into preparing for that, and got a lot of good questions, and I think that was well received. Attended a meeting Friday with the 3 cities. This is kind of an ad hoc group that we formed after the COVID crisis hit to make sure city and county policies were coordinated with respect to COVID-19, and that group is still meeting, and there was a good discussion on a whole range of topics there. And then Wasatch Timber Counties Caucus, I represent Thurston County there, and we had a in-depth presentation on a couple of studies that are wrapping up regarding the impact of the Habitat Conservation Plan regarding the marbled murrelet, and a economic impact study on trust lands and some of the timber issues that Thurston County is not one of the biggest counties, but not one of the smallest either. We're right there in the middle of those in terms of timber revenues and policies that DNR engages in. So that kept me pretty busy. Oh yeah, and the Women's Club reopening, I was there, as was Commissioner Mejia yesterday, ribbon cutting that absolutely revitalized space. The most incredible thing was the main hall of that old house had these just plywood, old, raggedy cabinets blocking one whole wall. Those have been ripped out, a whole buffet area with window panes have been replaced. And the sunlight that comes in, just transforms the whole room to see that wall opened up and the light be able to come in. So that was very cool. And they've got a ballet studio space upstairs if anybody's got a ballet class they want to teach up there. Anyway, that's my report. And with that, we'll go to item 8B, County Manager.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. Briefly, let me walk you through the upcoming schedule where at least 2 commissioners will be attending. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars. This will not be part of my report. Soon after this meeting is completed, you will move into a public hearing related to the 2021 Budget Amendment Number 1. Soon after that will be a public hearing related to the Capital Improvement Program Minor Amendment. Wednesday, June 23rd, tomorrow, 9 in the morning, you have a briefing related to internal services rates, 9:30 central services rates, 10:30 information technology rates. 2 in the afternoon, you have a briefing related to the wireless code update. And at 3 in the afternoon, you have a Board of Health special meetings, which is a follow-up on the on-site sewage management plan. Thursday, June 24th, 9 in the morning, you have a briefing where you have a follow-up related to the public hearings on the Capital Improvement Program Minor Amendment, as well as the Budget Amendment Number 1. 10 in the morning, you have your regular commissioners check-in meeting. At 1 in the afternoon, you have a briefing related to the human resources rates. And at 2 in the afternoon, you have a briefing related to the financial services cost plan. Friday, June 25th, 12:30 in the afternoon, Commissioner Mejia and Commissioner Messer have a meeting related to the upcoming steering committee, climate mitigation steering committee meeting. And that will be a prep work between the two of them, and that is open to the public. And 5 in the afternoon on Friday, June 25th, you have been invited to attend the American Legion Post-94 Dinner for American Legion National Commander Bill Oxford. And that's going to be located the 6202 Marvin Road Southeast, Lacey, Washington, 98502. Moving on to Monday, June 28th, you had your standing Washington State Association of Counties virtual assembly at noon. And then you will convene back again here on Tuesday, June 29, 9 in the morning. You will have your regular agenda setting. That's all I have for you.
Okay. So we have 2 public hearings that were scheduled for 3 o'clock. Does the board want to take 5 minutes or reconvene?
We have a different Zoom.
Different Zoom. So why don't we take till 3:25?
Sounds good.
Restroom break, water, and we'll reconvene our public hearings at 3:25. Thank you. We're adjourned.